Yes, yes. We are here today. First show of SpeakEasy.
Not the first show.
Well, it's not the first show. It's not the first show. But I'm EJ Stewart, uh, known as Emilio by most people. And to my right, I have Miss Pope,
Good evening, everyone. Jennifer Pope here.
Miss Jennifer Pope, being all shy and modest. And so we're here at Radio on Fire, right here in Baltimore, Maryland. Follow us at radioonfire.com. And I'm happy to be here. We've been doing Speakeasy probably at least for 4 years in your local bars,
Yeah.
in the community. And, you know, those of you who have come out to our shows has gotten heated. We've made matchmaking connections, love connections. We should get some eHarmony money. You know, we've been doing it, and we took a little hiatus because, you know, in the city it's really hard to find Black-owned establishments in certain locations. We were trying to do it in the East, and we were at the West, and just trying to find something that was conducive to what we wanted to do. But it's kind of hard because the city makes it difficult for our small Black business owners. You know, a lot of the good real estate is in the gentrified areas and all of that good stuff. And it was kind of hard to keep it going. And, you know, with life, Jennifer's a business owner, a mother, a football mom,
All that
good stuff.
Wonder Woman.
And then you went to Dunbar. You went to Dunbar, right?
Yes, Poet Pride, class
Dunbar.
of 2001. We do this.
I'm unofficially a Dunbar poet, even though she won't let me come to the cookouts.
I mean, you got to be official.
You foul. I want to come to the cookouts and hang out. So, yeah, I mean, we're happy to be here. We got DJ Diamond K along with us, guiding us, being our guardian angel. And tonight, we're going to talk about a number of things. I mean, if you guys know us, he's got his intro going. He's got his intro popping. This guy is a professional. He has a morning radio show every 9 a.m. at radioonfire.com. And you can follow his show on Facebook.
Yup.
And he does it with the sunglasses on. I was gonna ask him about that. I don't really know. I don't really know.
A lot of people want to know what's going on.
I don't really know, but
there's a reason. There's a reason for this.
I think that's like his blanket, like the kid, Big Daddy. That was his blanket of that's his blanket of cool. He does the sunglasses. But yeah, he's here, and I thank him for the opportunity because this is something that we've been trying to do for a long time. I had somewhere else I was going with that, but I totally forgot. It's gone. Yeah, I can't even dispute that. But yeah, we're here. So, anybody who knows us, you know, we get into the relationship talk. You know, two of us being, we talk about relationships in the Black community, racial issues, political issues. I'm more pushing the political agenda than Jennifer does. But, you know, we talk about all that, being social workers by trade and community leaders by day and night. So we talk about everything. We gonna talk about it. And starting off, I wanna pick Miss Pope's brain because she or Diamond K's brain. I'm not the Baltimore native. I'm from New York, but I've been here almost about 10 years. And I live here, live in the city, buy in the city. You know, I got kids that I work with in the city. I drink and party in the city. This is home for me. So we reached 200 murders last night.
Unfortunately.
200 murders. And this time, was it last year or 2011? This time, 2011, we hadn't even broke 150 or 160 or something like that. But now we're at 200 murders. What's the solution? I mean, you have two young boys, two twin boys.
I do.
I mean, what are we going to do in the city that they have to grow up in?
I don't think there's any easy answer because it's a multifaceted issue. There's so many different components that adds to the violence in our city. But I believe number one, first and foremost, we have to get back to community policing. I know we discussed it before at a previous SpeakEasy that we had that, you know, at one point when I was growing up, we had an officer friendly that came to our school, told us don't do drugs, follow the laws, you know, obey the rules, blah, blah, blah. We don't have police officers who live in our communities. The people who are policing our communities don't live here. It would be a difference if, you see Johnny on the corner cutting up and you go knock on the door and tell his grandmother, listen, your grandson was down here cutting up. I got him. It happened again. I'm going to have to take him in. We don't have those relationships with the Baltimore City Police Department. And I think that makes a huge difference. Because right now we feel like it's us against them. And, we're on the defense all the time, 24/7. And that makes a big difference. So even when, you do have crime in your neighborhood and you want to reach out to the police, most people don't even want to call.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think about it too. And somebody on follow me on Facebook Live said less jobs. Oh, we got a caller ready?
Yeah.
Hello, caller.
Damn it. Who's calling?
Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hi.
Jennifer. What's up?
Who am I speaking to?
Uh-oh.
This your big cousin.
Hi.
Big cuz.
You are live on the radio
Big
right now.
cuz.
State your name.
And also tell us an
It's your
embarrassing
big
story.
cousin.
Also tell us an embarrassing story.
You're live on the radio, so you need to state your name. I know your name, but the public doesn't know your name.
If he didn't tell his name, there's a good reason. We don't need nobody. He don't want nobody looking for him. I'm joking.
Don't
I'm
be
joking,
that guy.
brother.
Don't be that guy.
My name is Art.
Hi,
Jennifer,
Eric.
big cousin.
What's happening? What's happening?
You have a comment about the 200 murder rate we got going on right now in the city?
Yeah, that stuff is sad, man. We glad we got to get it together, man.
Eric, big cousin Eric, how long you been in the city? How long have you been wise and blessed to walk around these streets?
I've been living in Baltimore all my life, 40 years.
40 years, God bless, brother.
Thank you,
And
40
in the 40 years, speaking to Jennifer's comment about community policing, was it different when you grew up back then?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you feel is different? Is it the people committing the crimes? Is it the police? Like what is really going on?
It just, man, it just got worse, man. As far as when I was coming up.
What was the
It got
difference?
worse.
What was
People
it?
respect people, man. It just, world is crazy now, man. It's just crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Do you have any suggestions on how you think we can at least start to, address the violence in the city? What could be done either by the community or either the police department?
Like when I was coming up, we had recreation to go to. It's like now these kids don't have really nothing to occupy their mind.
Right.
It's just crazy now.
Right. I definitely believe that is definitely an issue.
Back when we was coming up, you had older guys, big brothers, mentors.
And it was definitely a different respect level too.
Play the sports now. These days, it's like kids. That's all they know is the video games. It just ain't like how we was coming up.
Definitely. Well, definitely appreciate you for calling, Big Cuz. We're gonna have you call in again and make sure you share an embarrassing story about Jennifer.
No, you will not.
So we definitely gonna make sure you call again. We appreciate you, my brother.
Gonna do. Thank you for calling, Eric.
All right, little cuz.
All right, love you.
I love you too. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow is a cookout. It's Friday. What's going on? Oh, my bad. All right. That's right. Both of them. Okay. But yeah, I mean, speaking to the larger problem, we definitely have a community separation from the police. And I think culturally and societally, I mean, as a society, everything that we perpetuate has been anti-police. Like I always tell people with this whole Black excellence thing, everybody's always talking about, when you see somebody getting into like STEM research or doing something that affords you a bigger salary or more prominence or more notoriety. It's like, that's Black excellence. But what about the social workers? What about the teachers? What about the police officers? Why are we not pushing our youth to become police officers? You can't also put the onus on the police department if we're not telling people that it's okay to be a police officer. It's okay to be a social worker. Now, systemically, if you think about it too, just culturally, if you've ever seen what the requirements were to become a police officer in the state of Maryland, the marijuana clause, and if you smoke marijuana in the last, I know it was up to 3 years at one point, that automatically kind of disqualified you. I don't know what, have a disclaimer, I don't know what has changed, but I mean, just in the Black community, that cuts out a lot of people.
Right.
That, I personally knew somebody that wanted badly to become a police officer because his marijuana history, he could not do it. He had no other violent offenses, no history of, violence or fighting or anything like that, but he couldn't get in, he couldn't crack that. So easily when we have a police department like Baltimore or New York City or New Jersey, Newark, wherever, you have people from York, Pennsylvania that come down and they're policing in these neighborhoods where they have never seen this many Black people. They have never seen this much noise pollution. They never seen this much action. They've never seen these things. And quite frankly, there probably isn't that much training that could get them ready for this, even if they were doing that kind of training. But we have to have the homegrown officers, but it's also a cultural and a societal think tank change that we have to have. We have to encourage our little boys and girls to say, your neighborhood matters and you need to protect it.
I mean, it's definitely going to be a shift in the way that we feel about the police and the police department. I remember having a conversation with my son when he was like 5 years old, and he we saw a police car ride past us, and he ducked down, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
And he was
like, "I'm hiding." I'm like, "Why are you hiding?" He was like, "I don't want the police to see me because they're going to shoot me."
And he was 5.
He was 5.
Wow.
He was 5. So you have children who fear the police or fear that the police is the enemy, so they don't aspire to be the police. Then they don't see police officers that look like them. They don't see police officers who are actually out there helping people. And we know there are officers helping people.
Absolutely.
We know there are good officers out there. However, they aren't, highlighted, or they're not accessible to our youth, where they see that, this could be something that you can do where you could give back and make a change. And it doesn't have to be negative. Like right now, everything is just so negatively associated with the police. But even with our murder rate right now, there is some type of war going on our streets. It's crazy. It's been going on and running since the uprising, with the aftermath of Freddie Gray. I mean, don't get me wrong, Baltimore's always had a substantial murder rate, just by the population per capita, but it's been really outrageous since the Freddie Gray incident.
Oh, what do you attribute that to?
A few different things. I think that people saw that they had the power to be that negative and not have a
consequence.
A consequence, no response. There were so many incidents that occurred around the Freddie Gray incident that just gave a negative light to the city, but also because I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's gang, turf war, drug war, whatever. It has been completely out of control.
I mean, something that that I've talked about, growing up. It's like, when you really don't have any guidance, anyone who's grown up in an area, whether it's in a city, whether it's rural, you always had somebody to tell you differently. And I can remember growing up, and brothers telling me, go play ball, go to school, do your thing. It was always my choice, but I was pushing it. They give you a choice. Now, when you look out there, and when I interact with these guys whether it's professionally or as a mentor, and they're on the corner. I mean, the person that they listen to has just as little experience in anything as them. And so it's the blind leading the blind. And, we really don't have any kind of hierarchy to say that this is wrong. I remember hearing about how there were days here where there were days where it's like, it's a no violence type of day, a no violence type of thing, or churches would say, just the 199th murder was in front of a church.
Right.
And I mean, I grew up in New York where most of us went to Catholic church, depending on where you're from, where you live and things like that. Church wasn't really something that was pushed in my household, but you guys down here, majority of y'all have been to church and that's pushed there. So for you to have, that lack of regard to do something outside of a church, it's kind of crazy.
Well, also, because I am a licensed clinician, I have to speak to the mental health piece of this. Mm-hmm. Our city is cloaked in grief and depression and PTSD. Our police officers have PTSD. Our youth has PTSD. If you went to
what is PTSD?
PTSD, I'm sorry, post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Talking about social work stuff we don't know about.
I mean, I'm sorry. I got to slide it in there.
Go ahead.
We have our youth. They're very angry. They have no way to cope with the every day-to-day issues that they are experiencing. A lot of them don't have any guidance. They don't have, the parents in the homes. They having their own type of struggles, and they don't have a positive role model to guide them. Or if they do have a positive role model, it's not one that has been there from the beginning. So they don't give them that respect at that time when they do step in. So it becomes very problematic. And like I said, even with our police officers, they're out here policing our communities, but they're terrified. They're absolutely terrified. And they're moving and policing as terrified individuals to the point where they're forgetting their training. They are forgetting their policies and procedures, and they go into kill mode. That's something else that needs to be addressed. But when you talk about the murder rate, you're talking about most of them are reoffending offenders. Most of them are young, and they're African American. These are kids who really, like you said, had no guidance. They probably felt like they had no outlet, no one to talk to, no way to cope. Sometimes there was a point in time when, you would have an issue with a kid at school or something, and you could go to your uncle or your grandfather and talk to him and say, listen, this is what's happening. How am I supposed to handle this? And they'll tell you ways to handle it. If you don't have those outlets there and you are looking at TV or listening to this music and they're saying this is how you handle your situations, you go out there and you go grab a gun and you just did it off the top. This is what they're going to do. This is the way the life they're going to follow. So, that has to be addressed. We have to also look at the part that our parents play, the part that we play as role models, because even though, I'm a parent, I think every parent, even if you're not a parent and you're just a positive person in the community, you really have to kind of step outside of yourself and say, there is value in pulling up some young people and just talking to them, having a conversation. How are you doing today?
Right.
What happened to you today? Did anything go wrong today? And just building those relationships. These kids are out here and they feel alone. Like it's just them.
Yeah, and that speaks to a larger issue about, people that make it in this city and they make it in this community. And, that's something in a later show that I wanted to discuss with some other people. But, when you make it, how often are you giving back? How often are you kicking back? We often talk again about this Black excellence, STEM programs, inventing this and writing your ticket to that, but the reality is, there's a larger community that is hurting. And if we're not contributing to the success of it, turning a blind eye and turning the other cheek is just as bad. We have a civil duty out here to protect our own people. And if we can't start that conversation, we won't get anything done. And we're still politically, we're still accepting the same, in my opinion. I think there are some people that are trying, they're falling under the bureaucratic hammer, but I feel like, we are accepting the status quo as a people. Mm-hmm. We talk often about Democrats versus Republicans and how the Republican Party has so much power. Even though the Republicans, they push for outrageous and outlandish things, they are a party that speaks to at least a good percentage, I would say 50% of its constituent base and what they want, because they make noise. We walk around and we see our politicians all the time, and we take selfies and we glorify, and we pull out the chair and fix them a plate at the community association meetings. But are we really holding our elected officials accountable?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking earlier. Well, we weren't really talking earlier about this, but the mandatory minimum for the gun gun possession.
Yeah, that city council meeting was.
I grew up in New York City at a time where they passed a similar law, but it was much stiffer. And I can tell you from experience, man, cats thought about it before they shot somebody. I mean, it's real. They thought about it before they shot somebody. So, I mean, where are you guys on that?
But you also have to, you're talking about New York, and I don't know much information on New York.
Same thing, just bigger.
Let's look at how many crimes or shootings are actually solved. So if you see that these crimes are occurring, and this guy did it, and he's still walking around, nobody ain't get him, you have all these open cases. Are you really going to be deterred from committing your own crime? Because you never have it in your head, nobody ain't going to catch me. I watch Law and Order and CSI. I got this. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you don't see crimes actually being solved. So that doesn't, they could change the law, but I don't think it's going to have much effect, to be very honest. And a lot of these people that are out here committing crimes, they care about nothing. They can care less about jail time. They don't care. So if that's the case, and they don't even care about their own lives, they're not going to have any respect for yours at all. But I think another thing that has to change is our mindset. We have become so individualistic about being worried about me and mine. Mm-hmm. And we have lost our village. And, when you have that village concept that your father is my father.
Right.
Your son is my son. I should be able to correct the child when they're wrong on the street and not have to worry about fighting the child, the mother, the father, and the grandmother. Right. But we don't have that. We don't have that anymore. You can't be corrected by your teacher now.
Right.
Because if you are, then you have the whole family up there ready to fight the teacher. We don't have the communal mindset that we have to do this together. And we have to raise our children together. We have to correct and guide our children together. And if, we feel like you can't say nothing to my child, you can't correct my child, you can't say nothing to me, you can't correct me. If that's the mindset that we have, we'll always have this kind of conflict. Because we can't move forward in any type of healing, in any type of, building blocks of any type of relationships with one another if we're only worried about self.
I agree. And like you said before, I think it's a cultural change. And I kind of get annoyed to some degree with the things that are going on. So, I mean, not to take shots at anything or anybody, but the NAACP is based right here in Baltimore City.
Yeah.
And the headquarters, I'm sure, has been there for a long time. It's over there by Walbrook Junction, almost by the federal building. And it's kind of like off in a place where if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't know it was there. And I say that to say, being the NAACP and the impact that you should have, I would think that they would be an epicenter of what's going on. And then also outside of that,
They're outdated.
They are super outdated. I believe
because they should be, like you saying.
It should be in the epicenter of what's going on. And with everything going on, we are right here in Baltimore City where your national headquarters is. I can't recall them actively saying anything about anything. And so I say that to say with organizations, and there are a number of them that we can call to the table, but every time the CBC goes on in DC, I really don't get excited to go other than for the parties and what's going on and looking fresh, because you have so many brilliant minds. You have the Roland Martins. You have the I gotta laugh because David K is a wild boy. But you have the Roland Martins and all these guys and all these people, all of this smart, the Tavis Smileys, the whoever, they're talking to all of these people, right? The big wigs, the people that people revere and all of that. And that's not wrong with that, because they're smart, they're educated, and they've got what they got. But you have them all talking to a group of people who, by and large, already have the same ideology. They're aware of the stats. They're aware of the law. They're aware of all of that. Why don't we have something culturally where we're speaking to the people? Not necessarily just by the masses, but on top of that, going door to door, having these conversations with people. I mean, if you remember, like in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, when Malcolm X and these people were out in the street, they were preaching on the corner. Because
you have to meet people where they are.
Social worker.
And you cannot talk down at people. You have to talk with people. It has to be an exchange and a conversation. And if I feel like you're talking down at me, or you feel like, you're putting yourself on this pedestal and you're talking to me like you're above me, and what I live and the struggle that I'm going through, there's the disconnect right there. I'm not going to connect to you.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to be able to do anything. So that's why people like Roland Martin and, I'll say Tavis Smiley, he's another one, you have them, you can take them out in the hood and talk to them, but, it might not like the reaction that they
because they don't speak the language,
right? And that's the thing. You, like you said, you have to meet people where they are. You have to let go of the egos.
First of all, you have to want to get out there,
and
you gotta want to get out there.
That's first and foremost.
You got to see the value in getting out there.
It's we have such a large fear of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We really do. We have a fear of going back down into the hood. We have a fear of going and talking to the youth. They are some live wires. I cannot lie. We
got good reason. We got good reason.
It's all no, I'm not saying you don't have good reason. You do. You absolutely do. However, if you come in there with good intention and you're consistent, because just like think of our youth as abused children, you have to work for that love. You have to work to get back in. You have to work to build that trust. You can't just walk into the hood and be like, hey, everybody come listen to me. I got all the answers. First of all, you got to tell them I don't have the answers. I need to work together with you so we can figure this out together. I don't have the answers. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm asking you, what can we do together?
Can't just throw money at it either.
No.
Can't just throw money at it. That's not going to work. I mean, I had this conversation with people, with brothers all the time. Like, well, let's do financial literacy. Let's do the health is wealth. Let's do the real estate. My brother, you got to understand something. If you talking to people that are living, like I remember when Johns Hopkins did a study on 21223, and I was community organizing in that zip code. It talked about the food desert issue. And it's like, how is
serious issue though?
It's a serious issue. And I mean, systemically, that's a problem. But then how are you going to talk to people who culturally believe that their Sunday night dinner is sending their children by themselves to the corner store to do whatever, let alone, not walking to the store with them or doing whatever. So it's such a cultural thing. And I think, to your earlier point, as a community, if we keep approaching this as an individual problem, like I'm good with mine, I don't have to worry about the next. We lose sight of the larger focus. Like I told people, I could have been an accountant or something, shooting for big dollars. But the reality is, that community is always two communities are always gonna mix with one another. And if I don't go out there to help one young brother interact with my family a little bit better, then it's gonna come back to me one day.
Absolutely.
So, but back. Yeah, back to the 1 year minimum. And I got Miss Pope's opinion. I want to get Diamond K's opinion on that. How do you feel about the 1 year minimum?
As far as, you were talking about the murder rate.
Yes.
We definitely need a plan. So we need to put some things in motion. a lot of people don't want to hear changes of the laws or something that they feel will get more people killed. So we need some things. We cannot make an omelet without breaking some eggs. So we have to do some things. We can sit around and talk about it, and people say, let's do this. Oh, no, we can't do that because this will happen, or this will happen, or that'll happen. We got to start doing something. So I do understand that is something. And so you heard me speaking a little bit about it. My view on it has changed a bit because while it seems like it's easy for somebody to just go out and shoot somebody, it could, because it happens so much. So it seems like the impact of taking a life or attempting to take a life, it feels like it's easier for them to do it than it used to be back in the day. So people were desensitized to the death.
Yes.
And I think that there's a time when 200 murders in halfway through a year would really be an outrage. Like, it really would be like people get in the street for much less than that, or not even get in the street, but just create uproar, for much less than that. And for some reason, it's not. I mean, we're outraged, but we're not really outraged.
We're used to it.
Yeah, because we're desensitized to it.
Absolutely.
So I think something needs to happen. I just don't know if some more gun laws is the answer, because I understand the place. In my brain, it makes sense.
Right.
Try to say these are some sacred areas. We got little kids here. We got old folks going to church and God-fearing people in this area. So y'all do the crime, do it somewhere else. That to me is kicking the can down the street. Right. So you can't do it here. And then how much is 100 feet? I was 300 feet away. So I guess it's good right here. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they have the drug zones. Right. Yeah. And then the sentencing is supposed to be more stiff in the drug area. Well, not the drug zone. I guess the school zone. It's not supposed to be that. The speed limit, if you speed in that area, it's higher, and I understand that. But we have to take into account the fact that we have a corrupt political system, a corrupt police department for the most part.
A corrupt system.
Corrupt system for the most part.
Corrupt overall system.
Corrupt overall for the most part. Not everybody.
Right.
Most.
Right.
And then we want to expect them to exercise fairness when applying these laws and the punishments. And that doesn't happen. So if we put another law on the books for a majority corrupt system to try to enforce, we're just going to create more circumstances for mass incarceration.
Yes. More
circumstances for young brothers to be picked up off the street because they looked like they had a gun.
Right.
But he didn't have a gun.
Right.
But he's dead because, like she was saying, they're scared. Right. So they end up killing him, and it was a cell phone in his pocket. Because I have walked past police officers with my cell phone like this sometimes. So I'm looking at them, just doing dumb stuff, and they just antsy, and they see that it's a cell phone, and they kind of, but just depending on how you hold this. This could be perceived as a gun at nighttime.
Absolutely.
I'm holding my cell phone, and it's just, so if we put another law in the books that's kind of loose, and it's a loose law to me.
Yeah. I don't think the law is going to change anything.
It won't.
To be honest, first of all, we need to figure out where all these guns are coming from.
That is a major question. Where's the ATF? Can we figure out
where the guns are coming from? It's almost like somebody drops off a big old case of it and say, "Go for what you know."
Keep it real, and you don't say where, but just answer if you honestly think that you could. If you wanted a gun, do you think that you can get one?
Absolutely.
Like I need a gun. Like you need a gun tomorrow. Or by this weekend, do you think that you know how to obtain it?
Yeah. I mean, but
that's easy.
But when you think about it logistically, prime example, when the lady was found murdered, and I think in the Roland Park area, it was a year ago. The news. Now, see, here's the thing. Had the cadets looking through the woods. we've never seen cadets canvass the black areas asking people for questions. And this is why, people say, well, why does it have to get racial? Why is it like that? It's not racially damning to your culture. And I don't even like the word race, because it's a construct, developed by that dominant culture of people to try to perceive themselves as being dominant. We have different ethnicities, we have different cultures. So when culturally and one ethnicity or cultural identified group receives more attention than the other, it's obvious. So it's like
it's blatant.
It's blatant. And when I'm watching the news, and the news purposely takes a segment to remember the killing of one person out of whatever the number was last year, that is pretty telling in itself. I would think that, they're recording all of the names. They know all of the people that have been killed for whatever crime, for whatever reason. I would think if you want to honor somebody who's been a victim to the tragic death, you would talk about it all. And not saying that it wasn't a tragedy for those and that family, but culturally, different things were being done. And we know evidence-based. You can track a gun from its inception, from its creation, from the factory to where it was bought, to where it was sold, to where it goes. And the resources are not being put into that. And our cities are being filled with weapons of mass destruction. I mean, we literally sent an entire military force overseas looking for weapons of mass destruction when we have them right here in our cities.
And some of the guns that they are finding on our streets, they look like military issued weapons. These aren't no regular little handguns. I'm talking about Uzi type weapons. And it's like, you just can't get that at your local gun shop.
Well, you upgraded to that.
Yeah. Like, it's called a street sweeper for a reason. So,
You took it back.
Yeah.
But you and Don McKay brought up a great point about the desensitization. If you look at the recent issue where the kids watched the guy drown in the lake or whatever that was, and it's like we as a society are so desensitized. Like, years ago during the Vietnam War or whatever war it was, people listened to the radio. They might have saw streams and clips of things happening. But, with the internet and everything going on, I'm not saying the internet is the end all be all, but, we are not letting our kids grow up. They are not little kids anymore. Riding, when I see kids playing outside, I know there's a part of me that's getting old because I don't like the noise. And I'm looking like, shut y'all asses up.
Old man,
or I'm like, don't do that shit or you're going to get hurt. And, but then the other part of me is like, damn, like they're just playing. Motherfucker, like, chill out. Like, they're playing. Like, and I'm so not used to motherfuckers playing. I get an attitude. But it's like, I don't see kids playing anymore. The basketball courts are empty. And we got some talented ass kids, especially in this area. I mean, in this area, you can count on 3 hands how many cats are in the NBA and the NFL. And I mean, they're like 1 out of every 20. But like it was when I was growing up, it's another guy right next to him that is way more talented. He just can't get his shit together.
I think that with the access of the internet on cell phones, I think that kind of started the snowball effect.
How so? Speak to me.
Everything is so easily accessible. Everything. I oftentimes having to find myself having to shut my Facebook and social media down. Like I had to. You do take your hiatus. You do take your hiatus. It becomes too much. Like even with, you have people going live and people are committing suicide on live.
Yeah.
You see people just doing a live singing a song and then they get murdered and somebody in Chicago got shot up in the car and it's too much. It becomes to be too much. So if I could see this just by opening my phone that has Wi-Fi automatically attached to it, so I can get access to this whenever I want. I don't have to put in a VHS or go get cable or go to the movie theater to see something like Godfather, to see somebody get shot up.
Great film.
I can just watch it on my cell phone. I could just literally Google it or YouTube it and just pull it up and find it. So you have children who are oversaturated with these images. They have cell phones at younger ages. You have kids that are 6 or 7 years old with a cell phone, with Wi-Fi. Why? I have no idea.
As they should.
But you know,
I think they should have that. I don't think that the technology is the problem. A lot of times people will say that, or I've heard people say this. They'll say, you know, why are you, not talking more, or too much texting, or that kind of stuff. And I used to feel how you feel as far as the age, but we got to also keep in mind that these kids, this is all that they know. And as time goes on, this is how they're going to communicate. This is how their jobs are going to be, computer-based. Absolutely. The mobile device, they got to know how to work it. It's not like grandma where it's cool that she don't know how to work it, somebody can work it for her. This is how they're going to work. This is how they're going to live.
I don't think there's anything wrong with technology. I'm definitely not anti-technology. I think it makes life a whole lot easier. It does. I'm talking about the age appropriateness of the access they have to the technology. That's the issue.
Very true. Very true.
That is the issue.
It's like you say, guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Right. Exactly. It's not the technology.
It's people operating.
It's not the technology at all. My sons will be 9 on Sunday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, they had a little riff where, they want punishment. I took away the electronics and they didn't know what to do with themselves. They what are we supposed to do?
So what's the punishment? Go outside. Go outside is the punishment.
Take your ass outside.
It used to be reversed. You remember when it was reversed?
You can't go outside.
Stay in the house was the punishment.
Stay in the house. And you thought that was the end of all days. Now you don't want to even go outside.
Or ask.
But it's like, you read books. You can play games. You can have board games. I said you can play Sorry. Play Uno.
Sorry?
Write a book. Write me a letter. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. So it was kind of outside of their reach.
Give me my phone back.
Right. Can I please have my tablet?
Give me my shit back.
But like I said, I think it's the access. I think we give kids far too much access at too young of an age.
I agree.
And it's not monitored, and it
Parents.
becomes, and that's what kind of desensitized these kids, And then to add to the desensitization, a lot of our teenagers, these kids are walking zombies. They are high out of their minds. They feel nothing. And that's what they want to do. They are in so much pain, so much turmoil. They want to can be completely numb. And they are completely numb. When they go out here and knock your head off and they rob you and they carjack you, they're numb. They don't feel anything. They don't feel any remorse. They are high out of their minds.
Yeah.
So that's something else that, definitely has to be taken into consideration. These children are using harder drugs at younger ages.
And a lot of it is legal and prescribed.
Yeah, with the prescription.
Due to the systemic answer that says, they have a mental disorder. I mean, you're a clinician. I know a little bit about that. And some of these disorders, some of this shit is just used to be shit that you saw with an ass whooping. And I'm here to tell parents, listen, I think, you can tell me corporal punishment is still kind of legal in Maryland, right, Jen? No? Well, damn that. Whoop your kid ass. Okay? It's not a bad thing to give them a beating and let them know, because if they don't fear you, they're not going to fear nothing.
Here's the issue.
With whooping ass or what?
Yes. When you beat your child, you're usually angry.
No. Wrong. I'm going to give you the Donald Trump. Wrong.
I beg to differ.
That's you.
He's like, wrong.
No.
Wrong. That's you that whoop ass angry.
No. When most parents use corporal punishment, they're usually angry. And what happens is the corporal punishment goes too far.
Okay. That is a possibility.
So what about the kid was in school today, he did something wrong. It's like, I think it depends on you. I got to beat you when we get home, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's how my father would have said it to me. He's been... That's the word speed. we can't get hung up on that. That's
semantics.
Honestly,
that's semantics.
Honestly, that right there. For all y'all social working and all y'all smartness.
Don't put social workers in it, because
don't
put social workers in it.
I don't just mean y'all two. I just mean all social workers. For all y'all intelligence. Mm-hmm. I think that part of it makes y'all soft, not you, but everybody else. Makes y'all soft because y'all gotta understand the biggest issue that the shift in the streets now, why there's no code of ethics, even amongst criminal element, is that the respect level's gone.
It's gone.
Sure.
The criminals from 20 years ago, niggas who was in the streets, they didn't mess with old ladies. If the old lady on the corner, every block had a older lady that, you know, holds down her steps or swept it a lot, or I don't want y'all hanging, don't get off my grass. That lady, she got respect even from the thugs in the neighborhood. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Watch y'all language. Okay, I'm sorry. And get across the street. Get from in front of my. Okay, no problem. And these was hardened criminals, killers, right?
Yep.
The same element now doesn't respect that lady. They'll do something to that lady car because she was, you know, they think she called the police or worse, or the gentleman that was killed in Park Heights and you know, and
I was just talking about that. Man.
The reason and the reason that these things are happening is because the corporal punishment left coincidentally around the time when all this stuff started.
And they scared to take an ass whooping.
Yes, and now they don't even want. We used to fight.
Yeah,
they don't even want to fight. Y'all smart people got them so scared. Y'all done reprogrammed the parents. Sissified. Y'all reprogrammed the parents to think that they don't have to discipline the kids and they get older and think that there's no consequences. Nobody can tell me nothing.
Tell the truth, man. I mean,
beg to differ.
Tell the truth.
No, I beg to differ, and I'm only saying that because, you know, you have those situations where these guys won't knock the older lady's head off because there was leadership in the community. Mm-hmm. You had the quote unquote OGs who would have heard that you even attempted to do something to the old lady, and they would have rectified it. I don't know how they would have rectified it.
Some ass.
All I know is it would have been rectified.
They would have whooped some ass.
But to speak to that, you know, my grandmother, God rest her soul, Miss Irona Pope, was well known through Perkins Project. She could clear a corner and say, "Look, check this out. All of y'all leave." Y'all
just probably on site. She probably just did.
And these were young guys.
I miss those.
You know what I'm saying? They were like, "Oh yeah, that's Miss Pope." You know,
how long Miss Pope been gone?
She died 2009. But
she got her respect.
She had a relationship with the community.
And she had a relationship with her
your grandmother. You know, she talked to you.
Right. But she was a motherly figure.
Right.
So a lot of these kids probably didn't have a parent or grandmother or whatever role she played for a lot of these people. So she was equivalent to the mom. They probably could knock on her door and say, "I'm hungry," and she could probably fix some food.
And she would have beat their ass if they were cutting up in the street.
But that goes back to what I was saying in my point before, being the village and the community. So even though I get what you're saying about corporal punishment, I don't like the word beating. I don't. Oh my God. It brings me back to slavery mentality. But I understand what you're saying, and you know, it's not that can't be used. It's just that it's misused and it's overused to the point where it becomes abuse, and that's where it becomes a problem. And
but that doesn't mean we. But you're right. It did happen though.
To speak to that, you had people who got the corporal punishment, who got beatings with the switch and got hit with whatever was available at the time, and they still turned to the left.
And some didn't know. But nothing's across the board. That goes back to the homeless. It's not the only answer, but because everybody got different issues. So it's just like the majority of the young guys that are on the corner are suffering from a couple of things. Yeah. But they all center around the family.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
The father,
absolutely.
Discipline, mom overcompensating because dad's not there, so she spoils him. Mm-hmm. Then he grows up with this spoiled mentality and he feels that everything's supposed to go his way, and if it doesn't go his way, he lashes out. But it all centers around the family.
But ultimately, too, you know, systemically, this all has happened, all has happened by design. The crack epidemic, and the flooding of drugs in our city, dismantling the homes, dismantling the infrastructure. It's all been by design, and unfortunately, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work.
I always say that, it took us how many years to get here? It's going to take just about as much time, if not longer, to repair that.
Yeah.
But we have to have a plan. Like Diamond K said before, you have to, have some type of plan. Absolutely. We can't just go into this thing blind and just, be throwing things out there, because that's not going to work.
Well, to conclude, and there's been a lot of comments on Facebook Live, and I've been catching you guys, and to your question, what's in the cup? I am drinking Jim Beam whiskey.
Y'all see this cup?
As I always do.
Y'all see the cup?
And if you love me, tag Jim Beam and let them know that I'm probably one of the only black men that drink their product. But I want to say, in Baltimore, we have a trash problem. Stop just throwing trash on the street, damn it. If you're in your car, you got your chicken box, you still got chicken grease on your hands. Stop throwing trash out the window.
You see them big
Stop the trash
cans forming.
Throw it in somebody's trash can. Stop throwing trash on the street. Please. Please.
So what advice do you give these people that do that? I hate to see that as well.
The trash,
what advice do you give them? The trash. I hate to see people throw stuff on the ground.
Be accountable.
But what advice do you give them? So I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a minute.
I'm probably
going to say, okay, well, I don't see no trash can, or what do I do with it, or
hold it. And then the other thing too, I grew up in that same mentality where we didn't give a damn, and it's almost culturally and socially acceptable. It's like I'm gonna just throw it on the ground because it's cool. But there's a disconnect in understanding that you got to be proud of where you come from. And Diamond K, that's kind of what you're talking about when people were cleaning their steps and their stoop, and they took pride in where they live. You can't take pride in where you live if you don't see that connection.
You can't take pride unless you know what pride is.
Well, that's a whole nother thing.
So we have some people on Facebook Live following us. Some
talking
people
greasily.
Who see us on the
they talking greasy.
website.
They're talking greasily about me,
we would
my
love
brother.
for you guys to call in with your comments. To call in, you would dial 404-436-1277.
But before that though, we gonna save these other topics because my man just walked in.
We gonna save them.
We gonna switch some gears. We'll switch some gears because we'll take a break. We'll take a break. I'm ready to go.
Oh, we already listened to some music.
Yeah, take a break so you ready to bring your guest on.
We ready.
All right, so we take a break and then
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fill my cup back up. Let Jim Beam know I'm the only black man drinking this shit.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
we need sponsors. We need money. Mila Kunis ain't moving it like I can. God damn it. My man.